get up. Everybody get up. Let's put them hands together. Now. Come on, come on. Everybody get up. Now. Everybody stand up. Come on. Stand up. Come on, y'all. Stand up for Jesus. Don't you wanna stand up? You better stand up for my Lord. For Jesus. Everybody stand up. Come on. Stand up. Come on, y'all. Stand up for Jesus. Don't you wanna stand up? You better stand up for my Lord. For Jesus. Lord, I thank you for what you've done. You are worthy. You are the Son. Master, you gave me another chance to get my life right before the end. Come on and stand up. You better stand up. Don't you wanna stand up for Jesus? Everybody stand up. Stand up for my Lord. For Jesus. Lord, I thank you. You are wise. The skill of open my eyes. I see the difference, right and wrong. Praising you, Lord, indeed, and in song. You which way down will split me from sin. The world against me, but that's alright. I'm gonna stand up, continue to fight. Come on and stand up. Stand up. Everybody stand up for Jesus. Everybody stand up. Stand up for my Lord. For Jesus. Don't you wanna stand up? Come on, stand up. Everybody stand up for Jesus. All you do is stand up. Stand up. Now everybody stand up for Jesus. All over the world.
You gotta know when God does something in your life, we gotta thank Him for the small things. Stop looking at the big things, because if you can't take care of the small things, you sure ain't gonna be able to take care of the big things. So we need to start thanking God for what we have and what we got and who we are and whose we are. Do we know who we are and who we belong to? Yes. Yes. I just want everybody to know, last but not least, what can I say about this gentleman? I met Sherman Owens at the church. Like I said, I was asking for people to go with me into the schools. I go to the prison a lot, and when I go 3 times a week. And when I'm at the prison, they're getting younger and younger for murder. We're not talking about the little stuff that we went to jail for, like stealing your mama car, or, speeding, little stuff like that. Now they doing big things. They doing big things and not knowing that adult time they gonna do. It's some of them just not ever coming out. And the sad part about it is that it's not enough of us to go in there and tell them that God is still with you no matter what you've done. Whether you got to do it in here or whether you got to do it out on the street, it's a job for you to do. It's millions of people on this earth, and it's millions of fingerprints. Everybody got their own design. Everybody got their own design. God has designed you to be who you are. Be the best that you can be, not somebody else.
Yeah.
So I was calling on some people to go with me to the schools, because that's what we're doing next year. We are going to start going to the schools to do deterrence. And Mr. Sherman said, hey, I want to help. I said, oh, you do? But you know, let me go talk to this brother. I don't think this brother know what he's talking about. Let me go see what he's talking about. You know, we always skeptical as women, especially, you know, been through hard times. You know, they always got a gift of the gab or something up their sleeve. So I'm already going in it with the negativity. Just to show you how things can turn around, right? But I love the Lord. But I'm already going into it with the negativity because he looked like, okay, he don't look so right. I don't know, Lord. You done sent a lot of people to me that didn't turn out. So he did call for the job. So he is now the face of stand-up men right now because he picked up the sword and he decided to do the mission. The mission is just not saying you a stand-up man. The mission is to be a stand-up man. You can say whatever you want to say. That's the same thing with me. When I get out of hand, or if I'm getting ready to get out of hand, and Jennifer or Mama Gia say, hey, it ain't just you here. It ain't just you. Because if you go off right now, what about the women in the prison you talk to? What about the other ladies you talk to on the street? What about these people who's looking up to you and you talking about God is good and you ain't even following it? So we ask y'all to give him your undivided attention. Mr. Sherman Owens has been through a lot. I only know him for a few short months, and we hoping to get to know him and to find his calling and where he's at. And we as stand up, when we wake up women, we gonna help him stand up and we gonna help him get through. But I'm gonna let Sherman Owens tell you the story and where he been at and where he came from and where he's at now. So without further ado, we like to introduce you to Stand Up Men, Mr. Sherman Owens.
Thanks once again, ladies and gentlemen, for joining us today for this outing. Before I get into my story, it's another story that I'm more than compelled, and it kind of brings tears to my eyes because we here today and we represent stand-up men. But in 2017, when I first started my trucking company, I was going through a divorce from my second wife at that time. And I was partially homeless, but I lived in my semi-truck. So, you know, you're homeless, but hey, I got a truck. And I remember when I had just got my license. It was January. I'll never forget. It was January, the beginning of January. I went to Tennessee, Chattanooga, and I was real low. I was real down. I was real out. But I knew I needed my truck in order for me to survive. And like they were saying earlier, it's funny how God put people in your life. Because my friend, my brother, from another mother, from the day that I met him, he's been by my side. This man drove 5 hours from Carolina just to come and see me today. My friend Edward, Singletary. Brother. Now a little bit about myself. As y'all know, I'm 41 years of age. I was born March 4th of 1981. On some aspects, I was born double blessed. The reason why I say I was born double blessed is because first, the Creator allowed my mother and my father to create me. Secondly, I was born unknowing that my father was a millionaire when I came out the womb. So I only thing I knew was silver spoon. Like, that's all I knew. My father was my everything. And the first time that my heart ever ached, I was 8 years old, and I can remember it like it was just yesterday. We were sitting at my grandma's dinner, and we was watching TV, just me and some of my cousins, and my aunt ran out, and she turned off the TV. And when she turned off that TV, I didn't know that the feds had just came and apprehended my father. When that happened, my world went totally way high. Like, only thing I knew was that, and the only thing I knew was him. So when he left, it's like I'm lost. Yes, I have a mother, but I was never a mother's boy. I was a father's boy. And I'm quite sure we all can relate from one point or another, because we all parents, and like all of us is up in age. So we all can relate when we going through things as the child, and when you turn around and go through things as the parent. That's when life will go to change. So my father left at 8. I started doing a lot of the same things he was doing, selling drugs in and out the street. By the age of 10, my son's sitting right here, right now, he's 8 years old. When I was my son's age, I was already selling drugs. As my son is 8, I was already selling drugs at 8, because my father left at 8. By the time I was 12, my grandmother passed. When my father left, I had to go stay with my grandmother. That was my rock at that moment. Mama took me fishing. Mama taught me how to sew. Mama taught me how to cook. Mama taught me how to be a man. When she died, I was 12. Exactly on my 13th birthday, I caught my first case. And it was starting to be a revolving door. I didn't understand the concept. I didn't understand what I was going through. I didn't understand what I was facing. I didn't have an outlet. I didn't have anything. So that's what led me to do the first bid in jail. From that point on, I didn't understand how God was already moving and my grandmother's prayers was already working. I didn't understand that, because here it is, I'm 12 years old, a child that always had everything. Now I'm in the county jail because I done did some things with some bad kids that I thought was cool at the moment, and man, when I was 12 years old, my youngest friend was 27. I didn't tell you that part. Because remember, the only thing I knew was what I was around. So now I'm in the jail. And I remember every Thursday and Sunday, I got jumped for 4 months. I never was put in a position where I had to fend for my food. Now I'm in the county jail. Yeah, I stole a little drug, but that shit was something I did. I never knew like it was wrong like that. I mean, like in our time, that's what you did to survive. I didn't understand the mindset of this, that's what you did to survive. I didn't understand that mindset of what you did to survive would take you away from you. I didn't understand none of that. So now I'm here facing some trials. So I told my mom to stop sending me money. So, because if she sent me the money, now I got to fight. And I did that for 4 months. After so long, I mean, yeah, you can beat them up, they can beat you up. After so long, you get tired. So now, luckily for my mom, they always been, my mom's side of the family is middle class, hardworking people. My daddy's side of the family is all from the streets. So, I had a little balance. My mom's husband, after my father left, he came into my life, I believe I was 10 years old. We used to always pick, when we was kids, that my stepfather is the brokest man that my mom ever dated. But the brokest man that my mom ever dated was the best father to me. I didn't understand none of that. When that man first came in my life, I had done did something wrong, and I remember vividly. He tried to beat me. I probably was 10 years old. I remember. I was 10 years old. My father had just left. And when he did that, I looked him up straight in his eyes, and I told him he did not put his hands on me, because I know what's going to happen, and you do too. And I didn't understand the domino effect to that. I didn't understand why them guys used to be hanging up under the tree. Hey, boy, little Sherman, well, you better take your butt to school. Well, you know if your daddy was here, you know if your grandma was here, well, what you'll be doing. I didn't understand none of that. But I'm grateful for it.
Praise God.
My stepfather, some of y'all might look at it and you it's wrong. But my stepfather was my friend. And the reason why I say he was my friend is because when he came around, once he knew I was already too gone, you can't be a father to a grown child. You only can try to figure out a way to get into them. So what he started to do, he'd take me fishing. But before we go fishing at 12 years old, we'll smoke a blunt and we drinking a Heineken. I'm 12 years old, but that was his key to get into me. Because had he never smoked that joint or drunk that Heineken with me, I would never heard nothing he had to tell me. You know, because you're not interested. That's not my life. You know, I don't want, grandma, I don't want to go fishing. I don't go fishing with her. You know, I don't want to learn how to lay blocks. I don't want to learn how to lay no sheetrock. I ain't fixing on no house. You know, that's too much hard work. That's too much labor. That wasn't for me. But I didn't understand that prior to my father going to prison. I use this word very, very often because it means a lot to me.
Praise God.
My father never used to sit down and help me with homework. My father never taught me how to read and write or none of those things, but he always paid someone to sit down and show me the things that I needed when I was growing up. And I remember one day we were sitting at the table and I used to spell house. And when my father went to prison, quite naturally, you know, if I'm in the streets, and I really was in the streets at that point, school was not even an option for me. I was already skipping school in elementary. I was smoking weed in elementary. And if you wasn't doing what I was doing, you really wasn't nothing to me. And I remember the next time I went to jail, I was 17 years old. When I was 17 years old, I was in the county jail facing a trafficking case for 45 ounces of coke. That's a key and a quarter for those of y'all that don't know. And by law, that's fair time. By law, with the amount of drugs that I was caught with, that was fair time. Quick as I got to jail, my lawyer came and see me. He said, Sherman, the feds sitting in the back of the courtroom. The first deal that these people offer you, you better take it. Because if you don't, they're going to pick up your case. Look at God working now. I don't know he working, but he working. It's no way, shape, form, or fashion I'm supposed to walk up out of that case with no less than 30 years. They gave me 3 years minimum mandatory with no credit time served for 4 months in the county jail. In the process of me doing that, I realized for myself how I had been transformed from one child to another person. In the jail, I realized that I had to stab someone from the very first time. I ain't never did that before. I'm around people that was doing things that I wasn't accustomed to doing, but it drew a light to me. And one thing about crime, if you do it long enough, it becomes a habit. And that habit is just like a drug habit. The same way a person that uses drugs need that habit, a person that sells drugs need the same recovery. Moving forward. So I do 13 years in prison altogether. From the ages of 12 to 32, I could never tell you what it was like to be on the streets for a complete year. From 12 to 32, I never was on the streets for a complete year. I had plenty of money, I had plenty of cars, I owned businesses and everything. But like I told you, I never went to school either, just like my father. So now that I'm in the county jail at 17 years old, I had 2 houses and 3 businesses. Remember that word house? When I was a kid, my son's age, I knew how to spell it. By the time I was 17 years old, facing a life sentence, I couldn't spell the same words that I knew at 8. but I had a lot of the worldly possessions that I didn't have at 8. Right? Now, I'm in the county jail. Very first time God touched me that I could say he really, really reached down and touched me. It was a correction officer. I'll never forget him, Miss Nichols. When you're in the county jail as a juvenile, you have to go to school. So now that I'm in class, I used to sit there and I do what my daughter do. She reminds me of me a lot. We just sit there and we're going to be real quiet. We're not going to do our work. We're not even really looking at it. We're not even really thinking about it. And the reason why we're not looking at it and the reason why we're not thinking about it is because really we don't know it and we're too ashamed to ask somebody for help. But I didn't understand that until I was in the county jail. And Ms. Nichols said, well, Sherman, if you got it all going on, you doing this and you doing that on the street, read this book. And when she gave me that book for the very first time, my pride, even though my man and my ego knew that I couldn't read the words that was on that book, but my pride said, you know, let me pick this up. So I read the words that I knew and I skipped over the ones that I didn't. From that day forth, that lady made a promise to me. She said, you know what, Sherman? I do notice you're not like some of these other ones. You come from a good home. What you doing in here? Why you this? Why you that? And she wouldn't start hearing the same way I would start crying. Until I found God, I could never mention my grandma's name. Don't talk to me about it. Don't show me no picture. It was like that slap in the face of reality. Some things that we all know, but we've been running from, we've been ducking, you know, and then when that reality hits you in the face, your pride, like, you're going to bow up because I'm really trying to shun you. I really don't want to let you know how vulnerable I really am. So I'm going to do all of the defense mechanisms that I can to get you away from me. But that lady said, you know what, you're going to sit right next to my desk, and she helped me read and write. Once I got sentenced, I went to prison. And I remember I'm about 18 now, and I was dating a 37, 38-year-old. And I remember I was writing her a letter. She was a correction officer, and I was writing her a letter. And she said, you know what, Sherman? And this is a woman that I brought a restaurant and stole from in prison. And she said, you know, Sherman, you're very sharp, you're very articulate, but a real woman don't want no dumb man. That was the first time I ever heard that in my life. So, not my own desires, my lust for her at the time allowed her to encourage me to go back and get my GD while I was in prison. But that's what got me there. That's not what kept me there. When I got there, I really didn't want to be there because, like I said, I was just doing it for her. But I remember, like it was yesterday, we had got on lockdown in the prison system. And my roommate, he used to read these books all the time. And my mom used to send me 10 books every month, magazines and everything, but I would never read them. I just looked at the pictures, you know. I couldn't read and write, I ain't finna tell you, so I just looked at the pictures. And act like I really got it all going on, but I really didn't. So, I get real lonely in the room and say, hey man, we on lockdown, man, why you don't read this book? I never even knew that books was made for people like us. I felt like books was for white folks. You a brainiac, you a nerd, I ain't got time for that. You know, they don't put no money in my pocket, so when I'm wasting my time with
Praise God.
Right? So, but I picked up that book, and I'll never forget, it was about an author by the name of Donald Owens. And there was a book by the name of Piata's Way. I never forget it. And the reason why I never forget it is because that was the first time I ever picked up a book that I felt related to me and my life. And in order for me to read it, I have to be relatable. Don't give me no book about science and I don't know nothing about science. Tell me about drugs, prostitution, and killing. I understand that. But that book is what helped me to pronounce my words better. That book is what helped me to live better. That book is what helped everything in me. And by her getting me there, once I felt that, hey, I learned something. I know last week, I didn't know this word. But had I never read this book as many times as I did, I know it now. So that's how I continue to finish my education in prison. I come home from prison that time, that was my first time. I come home after doing the 3 years and 9 months. I came home from prison in 2002. I was doing something better. I'm gonna tell you exactly my number one mess up. I'm in prison, and I'm already plotting on ways to come back to prison, just in a smarter way. Oh, I ain't gonna sell dope in Dade County no more, because they gonna get the police on us. I'm gonna go sell dope in these county. I'm gonna go jump on the road and go over here. But what I didn't understand was that road, it gave me another life. It allowed me to see the world a little bit, and it allowed me to touch a little bit more money, but it also hindered me again. I came home from prison in 2002. Remember I said I never was on the streets for a year? Exactly 12 months on the head. I was back in prison again. That's when they gave me the 10 years minimum mandatory. When they gave me that, the only difference between my first time in prison and that time was I had a child on the street. The other time, I'm just going in and out of jail. I ain't got no responsibility. I ain't got no life. I ain't got no nothing. It's just me. Now I got a child on the streets, and I made a vow before that child was even born that before I even knew what a stand-up man was, I wanted to be a stand-up father. Because remember, like I say, when I was 13 years old, my youngest friends was 27. Half of them was married with kids. So I'm looking at men that they sell drugs like me. We playing golf on a golf course, but they got wives at home. And these dudes was street guys, and they'll be at home at 10 o'clock at night. So that was the pinnacle of lifestyle that I was looking for. Now that I'm back in prison again, facing this life sentence for 3 years straight, that's all they offered me was life. So one day of trial, they say, hey Sherman, you take this down. And in my mind, I say, I already got 3 years in, day for day in the county jail. So I do another 5.5 years, I'll be on the street. By the time I come home, my daughter will be 8.5 going on 9. I thought that was one of the best decisions that I made when I turned around. It really was, but it wasn't. What happened to me was, in the course of that, I'm still, like they say, straddling the fence. Partially, I'm getting my education, I'm reading more and stuff like that, but I'm still doing my thing in the streets, I'm doing my thing in prison. That's how I survive. It wasn't until my mom got into a bad car accident, and that was the biggest fear. If my mom would have died when I was in prison, I knew I was going to spend the rest of my life in prison. There wasn't no ifs and buts about it. And let me just touch on that, because I keep saying mom. A lot of y'all hear me say mom, mom, mom. My biological mother didn't raise me. When my grandmother died, my aunt raised me, which was my mother's sister. And the song Tupac said, Mama wasn't in love, she put up the house. When I went to prison, after I spent all my drug money, after I sold everything I had to turn around to my mom and say, hey, I'm down bad. Well, she said, hey, my son ain't gonna spend the rest of his life in prison, so she put up a house and paid for my lawyers. That's what got me to 10 years. Had she never did that, I would be spending the rest of my life in prison. Secondly, like I said, she instilled so many different things in me. She taught me how to count, how to balance out checkbooks, things of that nature, things that the average guy, the average man don't even know exist, because I didn't know. And how I look at myself is this. If I had a stepfather that had his own construction company, my mom had her Mary Kay business, my uncles was master mechanics, and I had all that in my life and I still went astray, that lets me know that there's people out there that was less fortunate than I ever was, and that lets me know that they are very far away than I ever was. When I came home from prison in 2012, from during that time, I was coming home to a ready-made wife, a woman that I had met in prison, and I had it all figured out. But what I didn't know was that was my plan. I already seen myself running a construction company, living the life that I wanted, which was my plan. My plan wasn't God's plan. Because when I came home, the woman I was supposed to marry, I ain't stay in her house 2 months. Now I'm homeless. And at 37 years old, now I'm going to my mom and saying, hey, I'm down bad and I need to come home. As a man, that's degrading. Doing that is what allowed me to have these 2 kids. Because I had this thing in my mind, well, when I come home from prison, man really is. You think, as men, we think, okay, we got a lot of money in our pocket that we're men. We think because we can tell you this and we might can stroke you good that we're men. I had to realize that men does not distinguish by age, just like women doesn't distinguish by age. You could be you have 3 different groups: there's a girl, a lady, and a woman. Just like you have a boy, a gentleman, and a man. We have to all go through different stages in our life to get our level of maturity. Throughout all of the different things that I've been through in my life, you heard guys that use drugs said that they was homeless. But what if I told you I know what it's like to count $1 million and I'd have been homeless before too? Choices. It's all the choices that we put on ourselves when we live in our life doing what we want to do with our lives without seeking the Creator first. Anything and everything you want in your life, the Creator will give it to you, guaranteed. Even if it don't align with His plan, because He wants to build up your faith in Him and allow you to know that He's the one that blessed you with it when He blessed you with it. Even if you're not mature enough to receive it at that time, He's going to still bless you with it because that's what your heart desires. But I'm quite sure all of us can relate. Quick as He gave it to us, He took it away from us too, because it was our will, not His will. Now, once you lose it, when I lost it, I was on, I promise you, I was on top of the hill just January of this year. I had my trucking company, my partner, I tell you, I had my own house. My ex-wife at that time, she never paid a bill on planet Earth because she didn't have to. That's right. I made $180,000 guaranteed every single year. That was on the low end. So, when you ever tried to do everything right, but you still somehow get it wrong, and you're going to find yourself questioning God, when you really get down and low, and you're going to find yourself questioning God, be careful with that, because He's going to answer. Now, is you ready for that answer that He's going to give you? Is you mature enough to receive that answer that He's going to give you? That's a whole other question. Only you can answer that question, because you know your skeletons like I know mine. You know your strengths just like I know mine. But when He reveals it to you, you got to be ready. Oh, yeah. Because if you're not ready, He has a way to do things to make you acknowledge Him. In 2014, after I came home from prison, I had a nervous breakdown because all of the world stresses that was going on with me. I had to envision my trucking company. I had to envision, I had my paving company at the time. I had the wife that I wanted. I wanted all my kids to be in one house. I really was a man that wanted all my kids to be with one woman. I ain't never want my kids with 2, 3, 4 different women. That wasn't me. But life and choices is what molds us. That's right. When I had that breakdown in 2016, I was literally like walking down the streets and I literally had a faint. And when I had that faint, it's like that's when He touched me for the first time and He said, you gotta find you a church home. But my pride and my own ego doing things my way, I said, I don't go to my family church, and my cousin that I used to pray with and we used to do all this, he's a pastor now, so I want him to baptize me. That's what I want. I go there, but that church, they primitive Baptists, they still wash the feet and all that other stuff, which is cool. I'm not knocking it, and Lord knows I love it, and Lord knows if a woman is getting down and wash my feet, that means she really loves you. So I learned some things. But it was too a little old, but it's spiritual. So I got my food there, but I'm like, no, remember, I've been in prison, so I need to get out here and do some things. Y'all too closed up for me. Y'all don't want to get out here and fellowship. Y'all don't want to get out here and talk to these homeless men. Y'all don't want to get out here and talk to these prostitutes. Yeah. Well, that's what I got to talk to, because those people is my people. Yeah. Those were the people that I hung with each and every day. Right. You smoked the dope. I sat in the dope house with you and sold it to you. That's right. I'm selling you the dope. You selling your body. I'm still with you. So my message is for the people that are in my shoes. It's not for the people that have been in church your whole life, because ain't nothing I probably tell you anyway. You understand what I'm saying? And you never walked in my shoes. Just like I never walked in your shoes. We all got our own shoes to fulfill. Each and every one of our message is different. You get what I'm saying? So with that being said, you have to find yourself. How I found myself is when I thought I was doing everything right, and God said, no, you're not. I lost everything in January of this year. Everything. I remember like in this, when I lost everything, I was sitting inside my same car I got out there right now, Chevy Impala. And God said, Sherman, I was living in Missouri at this time, and God said, Sherman, you need to go to Texas, go see T.D. Jakes and let him stir up some of that clay in you. At the time, I had $180 in change because as a trucker was going to store the job, so that little change bag, it came in handy. I got that bag of change and it was a snowstorm. I drove from Missouri to Texas. It was an 8-hour drive. When I got there, I had $40 left in my pocket after I spun the gas. I stayed in my cousin's house. Very first time in my life I had ever been to the Potter's house, which is T.D. Jakes' church. I ain't never been there before. I always wanted to, but I'd never been there before until that time. When I got there, I didn't even know it, but it was T.D. Jakes' 45th anniversary of being a pastor. I had a very awesome opportunity because it's a guy by the name of Keon Henderson. He's a pastor out of Houston, Texas, Keon Henderson. But Keon Henderson preached a message for T.D. Jakes on his 45th anniversary. By my cousin being Michael Irvin, number 88 for Dallas Cowboys, allowed me to go to the Potter House as a privileged guest, and I sat 3 rows from the stage, so that's how they to meet him. When I met him, that's when I knew for real, there was a change in my life. Like I was on something totally different that I ain't never been on before. I got a high that I ain't never been on before. I got a peace that I ain't never had before. I ain't got to look over my back and worry about nothing too much before. But it wasn't meant for me to stay there. I just needed to go there to get my message, to get my strength, to find my way. And that's when I knew that in life we all pray to God to bring us through situations, because that's how I found myself praying to bring me through my situation. But God is so merciful that He's not going to bring you through your situation. He's going to bring your life through generations. Because I'm still reaping the benefits from what my grandmother prayed for. I ain't never been that child to get down on my knees. So who I'm praying to? I don't even know who. I don't know who. I'm living off of her prayers. I don't even know how to pray.
We all living off of prayer.
You understand what I'm saying? So when I heard that message for the first time, that's when I knew myself. Sherman, hold on. That little girl, when you went to prison and she wasn't born, well, she's 18 now. You have a grandson. So in order for your grandson to be blessed, you need to start learning how to pray the way your grandma was praying. And if you want your generation to go, you need to be praying the way your grandma was praying. They talked about him like they talked about Jesus. Yeah, she walked around the projects with no shoes on, but I bet her life was always gone. When you open up that cabinet, you might ain't seen number 1 can in the whole cabinet. But when Mama finished cooking, where all that food used to be coming from? You ever wondered? You know, so when you go to experiencing those different things, and I'm quite sure all of us have been, we love our kids. It's statistically proven, African Americans are more prominent in their kids' life than any other race on planet. A lot of times women use our kids as pawns. And they always say this famous speech, mama's babies, daddy's babies. Well, wasn't it the seed that was implanted that created all things? That came from the thought? Okay. So if He would never implanted the seed, how would you have it? When a kid come out, why they got so many ways of their father? When they did that thing in the 50s, the woman's rights, it was a great thing. Lord knows it was. Women need to be independent. If you could do the same thing I could do, it's great. But I could do the same thing you could do too. Why you forgot that? The only thing I can't do is push it out. I'll do the rest too. Ooh, there's a lot of push. You know. You know, throughout life, that prison, that homelessness, God allowed me to go from being a child, not just being able to even speak, being able to read properly, to owning 14 different businesses. To me, that was one of the biggest accomplishments in my life because I learned that I could achieve something positive, and I learned that everything that I did negative for, I could get it on the other side if I just applied myself. Once I went to applying myself, I really went to learning that the average street hustler, if you put them in corporate America, we outsurpass all of those guys who went to Ivy League colleges because our hustle and our endurance is so much more. When that went to happen, like I said, in January, when I lost everything, God said, okay, I'm going home. Mama's here. I called my mom when I got to the Georgia line. As soon as I crossed over to Georgia, I said, Mom, I'm coming home. She said, all right, baby. But I think you need to stop by maybe Georgia and go check on Sherman because she's getting old. I said, all right, no problem. I get to Georgia, my mom's sister. She left Miami and became an alcoholic, went through some things in her life, and it turned for the worse. But God is so merciful that on my grandmother's deathbed, she had my aunt that I keep saying, my mom that raised me, she had her to promise her that as long as she had breath in her body, that I would always be okay. Through that blessing and the grace of God, that woman has stood that test of time in my life. When she sent me here, I didn't know what was going to unfold for me in my life. But one thing I did know was I was going to continue to push on. So I stopped at my auntie house. I never forget. I got here on a Thursday. So as soon as I pulled up, she keeps saying, Sherman, boy, we got to take me down here to this church on Saturday. They're going to be giving out this free stuff. I'm like, all right, cool, auntie. I'm going to take you out there. No, we can't be late. We got to go first thing, right? So I'm like, all right, cool. So first thing started in the morning, she wakes me up about 5 o'clock. Plates don't start about 9, but she wakes me up at 5. You know. So we in this line. And my pride won't even allow me to get out the truck. I'm sitting in the truck like, man, don't get your free stuff. I'm sitting right here, because man, I'm gonna jump back in the truck. I'm gonna get back to the money, So I'm going through a stage. But what I didn't know was God was using me to be her caregiver for the last 90 days that she had on earth. I was able, she helped fulfill my grandmother's prayers by taking care of me throughout all of those years that I was going through cracks and crannies. And look how much God loved us so much that the same person that looked out for me, he allowed me to come back and be different. And when she left, I knew that she was happy, and I knew that she was peaceful. But remember, like I was messing with the pastor earlier, how God always gives you double for your trouble. Well, when she passed, I got 2 houses right here in Macon, Georgia, free and clear. I ain't pay a penny for it. Right after that, like Missy Vaughn say, when we met, she was like, hey, I'm looking for someone to go in this jail or prison and help minister to these guys. But what she didn't know is I was already on that trip. At the time, my company was called Another Godly Equality. And I was doing the exact same thing that we're doing here now. I just had a different brand. But God say, when a man finds a good woman, sometimes you'll put your plans to the side and you'll jump on their man. So that's how Stand Up Men came about. He was already her baby, and I just helped him to the road and helped bring him about. like I say, we all have a lot of great qualities. Our whole team have a lot of great qualities. But if you look around at our team, not two of us do the same thing. Each and every one of us have our own role into making the whole God's kingdom come together. So our mission, our goal, our whole soul purpose, for one, is to bring each and every person a little bit closer to God from the trials and tribulations that we all have been through in our life. Sometimes we just need a little, reminder to let us know where we came from and where we're trying to get to. I'm no better than no one else in here, just like we all equal. We're more alike than not. So the same troubles that I had in my life, I know for a fact that you are all endured at one point of place in your all lives. It might not be the same situation, it might not be the same road, but you can identify with the same pains.
That's right.
My cousin's wife just passed a few days ago, so when I'm going home for Thanksgiving, I'm thinking I'm going home just spend time with my family for Thanksgiving, but now my cousin's wife just passed, so I'm going home for a funeral as well. And like I was telling him, cuz listen, I can't identify with the pain of losing a wife to death. But I definitely know what it's like to lose somebody that I love, because I done had 3 wives. So that gotta weigh out of something. Like I say, my pain and your pain is something different because it's different circumstance situations. But we all on the same road. We all need someone next to us to hold us accountability. When I was doing my business, I always seek advisors. I always seek the proper help and what we like to call in network marketing accountability partners. So when I get it straight, I need somebody to, hey, get it back together. If I did that when I was in the world, if I did that in corporate America, why can't I do the same thing for Jesus?
That's right. Amen.
So with that being said, I definitely appreciate each and every one of you. If you're watching us online, it's Stand Up Men, Wake Up Women, follow us. Like I said, we trying to get this building, so we're trying to get housing and community. We're trying to create a God-like community. We want a house where a person can not only just come off the streets of some type of hardship. I don't want to put a name on hardship. Whatever it is you're going through in life, I want you to know that it's a safe place where some men and women that love you for who you is, where you at, nothing else, nothing more.
Yes.
And we want to be able to equip you with some tools that we have personally used in our lives to help us get to where we at, and in hopes that it help you get to where you trying to be.
Yes.
And like I say, we're all accountability partners. There's no big I's and no little U's. If I know something today and you know something tomorrow, let's help each other get to where we trying to be. Why do I have to shine on, oh boy, no, he doing the same thing? No, you can be doing the same thing I'm doing and get that business space right next to me, and I don't want to charge you nothing. I just want you in a place, because just with you being in a place, you're going to help fulfill the mission.
Yes.
That's what we're about.
Yes.
So I definitely appreciate each and every one of you. We definitely appreciate any support.
Yes.
We appreciate any comments. Wherever you at, wherever you at, let us know. We here to help. If you need help, we here to help you. And trust me, we human too, so we need help, and I'm hoping I can rely on you too. Because I've been relying on every single terror since 2017, and as long as you got breath in our body, that's one of my accountability partners.
Yes.
So we all need them.
Yes.
But how do you know what a real man looks like if you never saw one?
Yes. Yes. Yes.
You never know what it looked like until you saw one.
Yes.
It took for me to go to prison, get out of prison, do this, do that, to come and say, hold on, the real men in the church.
That's right.
Ain't real.
Right. Right. Right.
Two niggas walking around with their pants way like here. They ain't gonna tell you what we said in the chain game about it. Yeah. But you know, now they walking around, like the world is so far that it's pathetic.
Yeah.
And it's not what it is, man. The real man wears suit and tie. Ain't afraid to put on those suit and tie, dress up, get a program. A real man, they ain't afraid to say, hey man, I don't know. Can I get some help? Please, I'm lost. I don't mind. Now, hey, I might ain't got the financial needs to pay you for your services, but I don't mind paying. But it's just something that a lot of people don't know, barter system. I might not have the finances going up and give you some greenback, but it's something that I could articulate or something else that's going on in your life that I might be able to help you with that can compensate for what it was that I'm trying to get from you.
That's right.
That's how we pull this off.
Mm-hmm.
All of us pulled our resources together.
Yes.
Everybody pulled
Yes,
their
we did.
resources
Yes, we
together.
did. That's right.
All of us is here.
That's right. That's right.
So if all of us never put the resources, we wouldn't be here.
That's right.
If all of us didn't have the same vision and the same outlook on doing something better for our community as a whole
Yes.
and putting the Creator first, we wouldn't even be here.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
So each one teach one.
Yes.
Yes.
I love each and every one of y'all.
Yes.
And thank you once again.
Yeah. Yeah.